I'm David Lombardino, Editor-in-Chief of DLA Editors and Proofers, here to give you a few tips on how to write an outstanding personal statement. In this video, I want to focus on having the right mindset for writing a personal statement. And when I talk about having the right mindset, I'm going to talk about it in a few different ways. So one way is going to be, how do you write the personal statement? Kind of how do you approach the writing process? But also, and just as importantly, how do you approach the rewriting process or revising process? Because that is equally important. And so getting into it, you want to have the right perspective for writing that first draft and each subsequent draft. And so what is that mindset? What you want to do is you want to put yourself in a confident frame of mind. You want to be confident in your story. You want to be able to tell your story in an honest, clear, and forthright manner. You want to be confident about who you are. And so what that means is that you're neither apologetic about something that you've done. Perhaps you've had a negative experience. Perhaps you've done something that you wish you hadn't done. But this is not the time for regret. And this is not the time to say like, oh, I wish it hadn't happened, or, to get down on yourself. Similarly, if you have had negative experiences, this is not the time to say anything in your personal statement that could come across as potentially pejorative or putting down an experience that you've had, an institution where you've worked or gained education or training, a colleague, a mentor. You need to find the right way to tell any kind of red flag or anything that you've experienced without saying something negative about another person. And so don't try to pass blame onto somebody else. Don't try to pass blame on a situation. Take ownership of your experiences, take personal responsibility for them, and present them in that manner and in that light. So you want to be confident. And on the one hand, you don't want to be apologetic about anything that you've experienced. And then on the other hand, you don't want to be arrogant. There's no reason for you to claim that you're great or that you're greater than what your experiences indicate. Let your experiences, let your personality, let who you are speak for itself. And so that will get you the right mindset for approaching writing the personal statement. The next step is you need to get your story out of your mind. Tell the details, tell the experiences you've had, describe the events that you've been in or whatever has been impactful for you in a way that somebody who wasn't there can understand. So if you can't tell your story, or if you're having trouble with that, just practice telling your story out loud to somebody who wasn't there, and think about what is it that they need to know that they wouldn't know if they hadn't have been there. And then finally, what you want to do, and perhaps, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, is equally important to having the right mindset going in, is perhaps even more important than that, is your perspective on rewriting and getting feedback on the personal statement. And so there's a couple parts to that. One is that you need to be open to receiving feedback and willingness and flexibility to getting information from other people that will be helpful in writing your personal statement. Maybe something is not working well for you. I just mentioned about getting the story out of your head. Well, how do you know if you've gotten it out of your head? And if you practice telling this story to your mom or your dad or your wife or your husband or your brother or your sister or your nephew or your niece, you may not get an entirely objective perspective because that person knows you. And so you're going to want to be open to receiving feedback from somebody who has never met you or who knows nothing about your story. And the reason is because that's exactly how programs and admissions committees are going to receive your personal statement. And so when you're taking the feedback to heart, you need to be careful about one thing, which is trying to get feedback from too many people and trying to incorporate all the 20 or 30 or 500 different opinions into your personal statement. That's going to drive you haywire. The reality is that in most cases, there's more than one way to arrive at an outstanding personal statement. But the worst thing that you can do is try to mix strategies. You want just one clear strategy, one clear vision for your personal statement. You want to establish that in the beginning and follow that all the way through. That will get you, that is the approach to take to getting you a final version, a final draft of your personal statement that you can be proud of. We offer a full range of services for personal statements, whether it's proofread and polish, consultation, we do revision and critique. We're quite happy to help you with yours and would love to hear from you. Come check us out at www.dlaeditors.com. Once again, www.dlaeditors.com.